another episode of Bottom Rung Sports. I'm Jonathan.
Up here.
And we got two guests for you guys today. We got Peyton Manko.
How's it going?
And we got Quinn Commadent.
What's going on, guys?
Why don't you just tell the audience a little about yourselves?
Quinn, go first.
Sure. I'm Quinn Commadent. I'm a fifth year currently at RIT, playing on the men's lacrosse team. Got one more year left there, and then we'll see what happens after that.
I'm Peyton Manko. I just graduated from Mercyhurst University in May. Quinn and I went to school together, played prep school lacrosse together, and yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Very interesting. So why lacrosse? I know, Quinn, you played hockey at Kiskee as well, but what gravitated you guys towards lacrosse?
I think for me, growing up in Canada, it was those were the only two sports I really ever grew up with. It's all I've ever played, and I think for me, I always just gravitated towards lacrosse. Even when we were in hockey season, my thought was kind of still thinking about lacrosse and the season coming up. So I think it's something that I've always loved. I would say it's probably my first love, and it's always been lacrosse for me.
Yeah, for me, my first love was football, and back in the day, I used to just want to hit people. That was what I played football for, and when football season was over, I would get sad because I couldn't do that anymore. And then I come from a small town, like in the middle of nowhere, and Pittsburgh itself is not really known for lacrosse. So when the flyers started circulating around the school when I was in seventh grade, I was like, you can hit people in that? And they're like, yeah, you can like really hit people, and you got a stick and you can whack people with that. So at the time, that was the appeal for me. And that's what brought me into lacrosse. And I fell in love with it right after like the first practice. I fell in love with it. And I came to find out that it's balancing finesse and physicality instead of just being like a physical person. That's what I was in football.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've always looked at lacrosse, as like, one of those, like, I don't know much about it, but I see like a little bit of it, and it's pretty badass. I'll say that. You guys just walk around with sticks, you can whack people with that, and that'll lead into my next question. Some of our viewers might not know about lacrosse exactly. What can you tell them about lacrosse that they don't know?
I would say, I think it's one of the, if not the fastest growing sports currently in North America, because it's got a little bit of everything. Obviously, Peyton touched on, you can hit people kind of whenever you want. Your defensive guys have 6 foot long sticks that get swung at attackmen and midfielders, and kind of just, it's got a whole lot of everything. It's almost a mix of hockey, football, kind of with that lacrosse thrown in there, a little bit of basketball as well. So it's a little bit of everything. And yeah, I think it's just a physical game that people get used to.
Yeah. So the way that my dad explains it, and this is kind of how I explain it to people, is it's basically hockey on grass. That's really not what it is, but just to tell someone, like, to give an explanation of what it is. But it's like Quinn was saying, it's every single sport into one. Like, there's just elements from each sport that you see in lacrosse. And Quinn definitely knows the box game more than I do, but a lot of that movement, it's like basketball. Like, that's just an example. Like setting picks, pick and rolls, that type of stuff, and then working through that defensively. It's very similar to basketball, because I used to play that back in the day too. So that's just something I see.
Interesting. I watched a lot of lacrosse just because, like, my brother played, and then, like, going to Kiskee, went to a lot of games, and that's like something I never actually like really noticed, and that's something that I find actually fascinating, considering like we're big basketball guys.
Yeah, and then you sit down and think about it, and you actually know it. Like you said, it's a tough sport. It's like, I definitely give these guys much respect for doing that, because I could never have any sort of coordination to do anything like that.
Yeah. So my bad.
No, you're good.
Why don't you tell the people like what positions you guys played?
So I'm an attackman. It's kind of all I've ever really played in the field game, which is kind of like your striker in soccer. I kind of stay on the one side of the field and just kind of sit down there.
Yeah, I played midfield in college. I played a little bit of attack in high school with Quinn. But when you get to college, it's okay. Well, let me take a step back. When you're initially playing as a midfielder, which is what I played, you're playing both offensive and defensive. But when you get to college, you become more specialized. And I became an offensive midfielder, so I would sub on strictly when we were on offense, and hopefully not get stuck on defense. And I would sub off for a defensive midfielder to come on.
So I know with defense, obviously, like attack has short sticks, defense has long sticks. So were you long stick mid or short stick? Or is there?
I've never picked up a long stick, like except for my first practice when I picked up a long stick, and then the coach was like, "Yeah, you're not doing that." So.
And why don't you guys explain kind of the difference between long stick and short stick to the people who don't know?
Yeah, I guess typically when your team's on defense, you've got 4 long sticks on the field, which are typically 3 of those guys are covering the other team's attackman. And then you've got one more that's considered an LSM position, who typically covers each team's number 1 offensive midfielder. So essentially what happens is you got your 4 poles on the field that are covering the other team's 4 best offensive players and kind of limiting your short sticks to go against the other 2. Because obviously you want a short stick matchup instead of going up against someone who's 6'3", 6'4" with a 6-foot stick in their hand is not an ideal matchup when you're on offense. So it's a matchup game from there. Just kind of picking where you want your guys to go and how you want to attack that from there.
Anything to add to that, Pete?
No, I think he put it like pretty well.
Okay.
One thing I really wanted to know about lacrosse, is it like extremely hard to be a goalie, or is that just like part of the game where you just get scored on? Because I see like the scores are just like they're up there, but I don't know if it's just like because it's easy to get scored on. You're just like sitting duck. I just want to know.
So wait, what's the actual question?
He wants to know if it's like hard being a lacrosse goalie, or what's it like?
Yeah, Quinn, have you ever stepped in?
Never. Don't want to.
I stepped in one time at a just like a men's league game because I was the youngest kid there and they needed a goalie. And I got scored on a lot. So to answer your question, it's really hard for multiple reasons. One, just being man enough to stand in the cage, man or woman enough to stand in the cage and take shots and getting hit with a shot. If you're getting hit with a shot without any protection, which a lot of the times that's what happens if you're not making a save and your body gets there first, you'll have a welt. I've seen goalies on my teams with welts like this big that are black and blue on their legs, like you can get pretty messed up. And it's also hard. You're basically the quarterback. You are the quarterback of the defense for the most part, unless there's defensive players that are talking a lot. But you're basically telling the defense who's double, like who's going to slide, and which is the double team, who's going to be double teaming, who has the backside help, where the ball is. So you're communicating to everyone in front of you that's playing defense. So it's very difficult. Goalies and face-off guys, I'll tell you, they're a different breed type of people. Like every team that I've been on, goalies, face-off guys have always been, they're just different.
Yeah, I will touch on the goalie part there too. It's not just game day where they show up and they get hit with balls in games. Like they got to do it for the 5 days leading up to that one game day, getting shots every day for 2 hours at practice to then show up on game day already black and blue, to then do it in a game for 60 minutes against whatever opponent you're playing against. And they don't care. They're built different for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more you know. Wow.
So, Pate, you said face-offs are like those guys are built different. Why don't you explain to the people like what really happens during a face-off? Because I've seen them and they're pretty brutal.
Yeah, they're for the most part they're pretty physical unless when you get in the upper echelon and higher levels, you'll start to see guys that are strictly speed guys, and they're pinch and pop and they're out with the ball. But for the most part, it's ball gets set down, ref blows a whistle, and the two people at the dot in the center of the field are fighting for possession of the ball. So whoever gets that ball is on offense. So if you have a good faceoff guy on your team, it could really pay dividends for you in a game. And if you don't have a faceoff guy at all, then that could definitely hurt you.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Definitely. So we touched on the sport now. Now I want to touch on, your colleges and what attracted you specifically to where you're at right now? What really stood out to make you make your decision to go there?
For me, it was a mix of going to a top nationally ranked college in lacrosse and compete for a national championship for all my time here, as well as it being a top 100 business school in the country, which is what I'm studying. So it was a combination of the two. There were some Kiskee alumni who actually came to RIT before me, and I stayed with them when I visited here and got to pick their brains a little bit, and some other guys on the team. And it was the right fit for me when I visited, and I'm pretty happy with the decision.
That's good. That's good.
For me, it was kind of the same as Quinn. Like, I wanted to be on a team where I had the chance to win a national championship. And I wanted to be close to home. So Mercyhurst was the best option for me. It was 2 hours away from my house. And I knew that they were already nationally ranked for years ahead of, like, before I went there. But I knew that we had a shot of winning a national championship, and we fell short of that, but we got as close to as I thought we could have, lost in the national semifinal. So sorry, I'm kind of rambling on here. That and the major there, they had a very specialized major called intelligence analysis, which going into college, I thought would be a cool route for me, was to go into the FBI or CIA or an organization like that. But yeah, so that's really, like, that mixed with lacrosse and it being 2 hours away from home, that I was like, yeah, this is the place for me. So
Kind of piggybacking off that question of, Peyton, you just graduated. What are you doing now?
I'm working for PNC Bank now.
Okay.
So I went to Mercyhurst, then I started out with that intelligence major, and then I picked up something called the competitive side of that, which is basically a business minor. So I picked up a lot of business classes, and that led me into the banking world. And now I'm working for PNC Bank. I just started like a month ago.
Cool. That is very cool. Quinn, you're graduating this year. What about you?
So I got one more year left. I was originally a finance major at RIT, and I got up until the COVID year happened, and that all ended. And that would have been it was in my third year of college, and it would have been only my second full year being healthy. So I kind of decided I'm going to take the year, and I decided to add a second major in order to stay for 5 and get another season in. So I added an accounting major. So I'm in my last year school here at RIT. So we'll see what happens after that. The goal is still to be a teacher. So we'll see what goes from that.
Very cool. Cool. And by the way, congratulations on your national championship.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Big dogs.
Yeah. And I know this is more centered for you, Quinn, because Pate, I know your brother doesn't play lacrosse with you, but what was it like winning a national championship with your brother on the same team?
It was pretty damn fun. I can tell you that for sure. It was especially nice having on the team. He was playing some minutes too, so even seeing him on the field in Connecticut, playing against Salisbury was pretty cool. That was the first time my parents got to see us play together live in college. They weren't allowed to cross the border. So the only game that they made it to was the national championship. That's the first time I'd seen them in person in like a year. So it was a whirlwind of events. We didn't even know if we were going to play, to having a season, to winning a national championship with my brother it's indescribable. It was pretty damn fun.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, that sounds like a top moment in your life.
Yeah, my parents joked about it the morning after, kind of just saying that I've peaked and I'm only 22 years old. So,
So that would that be like your top moment in all your years of playing lacrosse, or is there another one? This is for both of you too as well. Was there another one, or is that just like all time?
oh, that's all time for me. I don't know if I can top that.
Yeah, it's true. That was pretty obvious. I should.
Yeah.
It was
no, it's a good question.
What about you, Peyton?
My top moment for lacrosse?
Or any sport, it doesn't matter. But
I would say probably we won GMAC conference championships. Just winning championships that's just like the best memories, I guess. That's like what you work for. So
yeah, definitely.
So you both went to Kiskee Prep. What about Kiskee, like their lacrosse program kind of drove you to go into that school?
I had a similar route to Kiskee as I did to RIT. I knew a guy. He was part of my club program, and he helped send Trevor Smith and Zach Ursu, who were also eventual RIT guys. He helped send them to Kiskee, and I got in touch with Coach Spahn, set up a visit, and it just kind of, when I stepped on campus, I felt like this was the place that I was going to go. I visited a lot of other schools, and that was the only one that I really felt that I felt truly welcomed, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of just snowballed, and it worked out financially for my parents. And I ended up going there for 2.5 years. And then my brother followed suit for 4.
Hey, what about you?
What made me go to Kiskee? So I played for 2 years. I started in 7th grade, and then my freshman year, I had worked pretty hard to get better than the people like in a small area. So I needed to get outside of like the first few years, like a new program, basically. I needed to get outside of that because I had dreams and aspirations of playing in college. So I was playing at a tournament called Midnight Madness in Fox Chapel, like somewhere in Pittsburgh. And that's where both Coach Spahn at Kiskee and I forget the coach's name at Shadyside. I ended up not going there, but they both contacted me after that tournament. And I knew of a kid who Quinn's been mentioning or referencing to named Ben Tackett, who was from a neighboring school called Knock, which was a very small school. And he played lacrosse and transferred to Kiskee Prep. And I just heard good things about him and about that happening. And I went to Kiskee, visited both Kiskee and Shadyside. And Kiskee just had a different air about it. You know, like when you step on campus at Kiskee, it's just different. I don't know. And academically speaking, Kiskee it definitely fit me better compared to Shadyside. Kiskee was like a much more regimented schedule, and I definitely needed that, especially at 17 years old or 16 years old. I still need that today, but that's really why I ended up at Kiskee.
Yeah, I can guarantee you I wouldn't be playing college ball where I am if I hadn't gone through the academic side of what Kiskee gave me. I was not a very good student before I got there, and without that, God knows where I'd be right now.
You're not sponsored by Kiskee Prep, by the way. But I mean, if you guys want to sponsor us, we take it.
I never went to Kiskee, so I'm just sitting there by myself.
No, you're good. I don't want to make it about Kiskee boys and because we know you didn't go to Kiskee, but I went to Kiskee.
They're all good guys that you have met. So
wish I could say I was recruited there for sport, but wasn't. But I definitely feel you on the vibe it gives off. But that's neither here or there. That's not what we're talking about. But
yeah.
So you guys, what do you guys have any pregame rituals that you guys go through?
I'm very superstitious when it comes to pregame. I've got essentially two separate routines, whether we're on the road or we're at home. If we're at home, it's very, I wouldn't say by the minute, but I know based on what time it is where I should be. Typically I get to the locker room 3 hours before the game starts and kind of just take my time getting into things, take a shower in the locker room, take my time, stretch, tape my sticks. My equipment goes on a certain way. Everything starts on the right side and then the left side. It's a long list of things that go on, and that's just before we even go to the field. It gets worse when we get on the field, so I won't bore you with everything, but very, very routine based. I think it just keeps me in the right headspace of we're going to work, we got a game. Just helps me prepare.
Yeah, I used to be pretty similar to that and have rituals. Like everything was a ritual before practice and before games, whether it be like tying my right shoe before my left, or the shooting drill that I went out and did every time. Like that's just something that I did. But then when I got older and got into college, I started to, I don't know, I started to shy away from doing that because there would be like a bad practice I would have, and I would have that shoe and or put that shoe on. You know, you don't understand what I'm saying. Like I would start to let it actually negatively affect me. So I stopped with the ritual thing, but I had like a small pregame ritual this year. I would just go under this one parking garage on campus every, yeah, every game, like the night before a game, I would go under this parking garage and just play wall ball for like 20 or 30 minutes. Put the headphones on. Didn't care if people thought I was a weirdo when they were walking through, and I was just boom, 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 boom. I just didn't care. I was like, I can't drop any passes in tomorrow's game. I got to be like dialed in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did before every game this year. Other than that, I really wasn't. I didn't have many rituals throughout college. I tried to shy away from that, or stay away from it.
It definitely does get you in the right headspace. You know, I always used to just put on my left shoe and right shoe. Then like I had to make sure it was left foot, right foot, or else I was all sorts of messed up. It was weird like that, but just little things like that would just like get my mind right. You know, just bring you peace and calm, and just you're ready to go. So it's definitely you got to have just like a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, and for me, it became normal. Like I didn't even realize I was doing half the stuff that I was doing, and it was just natural to me. Like listening to the same song on the way to the locker room. I guess it was just small things that I didn't think were, I would say, superstitious, but just became natural. I don't know. It's weird.
Do you have any?
I don't have any. Nah, I was never really superstitious. I kind of just went out there. I would definitely listen to music before I played games. But that was really it. Shout out Quinn though. He might be the most superstitious guest we've had.
Oh, definitely.
He definitely is, because I remember him with some of those superstitions, like taping his stick and stuff. I remember that stuff.
Yeah, it's been like that for a while. It got as bad this year as like I had to eat the same thing. So if we play, most of our games are on Saturdays or Wednesday nights. If it was a home game on a Saturday, like I was eating the same thing every Friday night for dinner. Yeah, it was same dinner, same breakfast, and then continued from there. It got, I wouldn't say out of hand, but it was just so routine based because we were also playing well, and I just couldn't shy away from it, even though the bank account couldn't handle it.
So I don't know if it's a weird question to ask, but just for having fun here, do you possibly remember it?
Remember what?
The food? Remember any food?
Oh, Chipotle on the Friday night pregame. And then just a homemade breakfast burrito in the morning. Probably not the best thing to put in your body or in the morning of, but it seemed to work. That and a lot of caffeine Saturday morning before the game.
All right, this may be a weird question, but have you guys ever had to use the bathroom during a game?
More often than you'd think. I don't know. It's nice. Our facilities at RIT, we've got bathrooms right behind our bench. Mm-hmm. So when in doubt, you just got to get through the quarter and you'll be able to sneak away for a second and do what you got to do.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever had that problem during a game. Definitely during practice, but I'm trying to think back if there are any times during a game. Probably not. More just freezing. I was just always freezing on the sidelines. That would be something I was thinking of.
Did you have one or something?
No, well, I asked because Quinn's over here eating Chipotle the night before and breakfast burritos in the morning. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
that wouldn't sit in my stomach very well game
no.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever.
It
worked.
So you guys following like some Pittsburgh sports? You guys Steeler fans or Quinn? I don't know if you might be a Steeler fan or not. Penguins, the Pirates. I don't know.
I'm a Bills fan, so I don't want to talk about week 1.
Oof. Yeah, all my Bills friends were trying to give me crap, saying that the Bills were going to smack the Steelers. Meanwhile, I'm not even a big Steelers fan, but they felt the need to tell me that, and I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of any Pittsburgh team. I can see PNC Park from this window right here. It's like a few hundred yards away, so that's pretty cool. But other than going to a few Pirates games, I'll go to a few Penguins games and hopefully make it to a Steeler game. I'm not a huge fan, but there definitely are some diehards. I mean, as there are in any city, but there's definitely some serious diehards in Pittsburgh. That's for sure.
I'm slightly one.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it loudly, but I will.
Well, I mean, we talked about a lot.
We did, for sure.
Yeah.
I definitely learned a lot too.
Oh, yeah, me too. I didn't know much about this sport. We kind of talked about everything.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate you guys. Shout out Caleb, which is Quinn's younger brother. Shout out the Manko brothers, Nate. I know you're watching. But yeah, this has been another episode of Bottom Room Sports.
Please like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube, and if you listen on audio, please give us a follow. And we're gonna keep doing our thing. And shout out to everybody who's been listening to us. We really appreciate it. Shout out to our guests. Shout out to Peyton and Quinn. You guys rock, and we really appreciate y'all.
Yeah,
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, thank you for having me on, boys.
Yeah, of course, anytime.
We'll catch y'all next time.
Yep.